thought you'd never mention him.
My man! How are you? Oh, this is great.
Chuck Connors, best known for his iconic role as Lucas McCain in The Rifleman, captivated audiences with his portrayal of a rugged, strong, and morally driven father. However, beyond his on-screen persona, Connors led a life full of complexities, controversies, and secrets that were not always in the public eye. Known for his political activism, he often clashed with Hollywood's liberal norms, particularly over his staunch support of the Vietnam War. Behind the scenes, his personal life was marked by tumultuous relationships, infidelities, and a struggle with typecasting. As time passed, many of Chuck Connors' hidden layers, both personal and professional, began to emerge, painting a more nuanced picture of the man behind the cowboy. Early life and family background. Chuck Connors, born as Kevin Joseph Aloysius Connors on April 10, 1921, in Brooklyn, New York, came from humble beginnings. His parents, Alan and Marcella Connors, were Irish immigrants who had come to America seeking a better life during the difficult years of the Great Depression. They worked tirelessly to provide for their family, with Alan working as a longshoreman and Marcella taking on small jobs to make ends meet. Life in Brooklyn during the 1920s and 1930s was far from easy, but it instilled in Chuck a deep appreciation for hard work and resilience, lessons he would carry with him throughout his life. The Connors family lived in a working-class neighborhood where young Chuck spent much of his time playing sports. In those early years, baseball captured his heart. Baseball wasn't just a game for him. It was an escape from the daily struggles of life, a place where he could excel and dream of something greater. By the time he was 14, his talents on the baseball field had caught the attention of scouts, marking the beginning of his journey toward sports stardom. The rise of a sports talent. Chuck's athletic prowess did not go unnoticed. His dedication and skill in sports earned him an athletic scholarship to attend Adelphi Academy, a prestigious private high school in Brooklyn. This opportunity marked a turning point in his life, as it allowed him to focus more intently on his athletic ambitions. At Adelphi, Chuck excelled not only in baseball but also in basketball, football, and track. His versatility and talent in various sports made him a standout student athlete. In baseball, Chuck played as a strong first baseman, and in 1939, he was named one of the top high school players in Brooklyn. His reputation as a budding star continued to grow. Upon graduating from high school, Chuck was faced with an exciting dilemma. Over 25 colleges offered him athletic scholarships. After careful consideration, he chose Seton Hall University in New Jersey, where he continued to play both basketball and baseball. At Seton Hall, Chuck's athletic career flourished. On the basketball court, he served as a backup center, using his impressive height and defensive skills to help the team achieve success. However, it was baseball where Chuck truly shone. In one particularly memorable game in 1942, he hit 2 home runs and had 6 RBIs, capturing the attention of professional scouts. This game was a defining moment in his career, confirming that he had what it took to make it in the professional leagues. A moment of glory in baseball. Chuck Connors' big break in baseball came on May 1, 1949, when he finally made it to the major leagues with the Brooklyn Dodgers. Unfortunately, his debut was not the fairy tale moment he had hoped for. In his only game for the Dodgers, Chuck hit into a double play, and the team suffered a loss. Though his time with the Dodgers was short-lived, Chuck didn't let the setback deter him. He went on to play in the minor leagues, including for teams such as the Montreal Royals, where he honed his skills and proved his worth. In 1951, Chuck was given another chance to play in the majors with the Chicago Cubs. That season, he appeared in 66 games, and although his batting average was a modest .239, he had several standout moments. One of his most memorable achievements was hitting his first home run on July 18, 1951, against the New York Giants. He followed this up with another home run a month later, further solidifying his place in the league. By the end of the season, Chuck had accumulated 48 hits and a respectable batting average, despite splitting his time between two professional sports. The unexpected Hollywood journey. Chuck Connor's path to Hollywood came in a most unexpected way. In 1952, while playing for the Los Angeles Angels, a minor league team, Chuck's life took a turn that he had never anticipated. During a game against the Sacramento Solons, he hit a tremendous home run that caught the attention of Billy Gordon, a casting director from MGM. Gordon was struck by Chuck's tall, rugged frame and charismatic presence, and after the game, he walked into the locker room and handed Chuck his business card. At first, Chuck didn't take the offer seriously. His focus was firmly on baseball, and he didn't envision a career in acting. But when he injured himself during a game shortly after, he found himself with some free time to think. Out of sheer curiosity, Chuck decided to visit MGM and explore the possibility of acting. To his surprise, they were eager to offer him a screen test, and just 3 days later, he had signed a contract with the studio. His first role was in the 1952 film Pat and Mike, a romantic comedy starring the iconic Spencer Tracy and Katharine Hepburn. Chuck's role was small, playing a police captain, but it was a significant moment in his life. His first day on set was a mix of excitement and nervousness, but when the cameras finally rolled, Chuck nailed his scene in just 2 takes. Spencer Tracy, impressed by Chuck's natural talent, pulled him aside after filming and told him, "You've got something. Stick with it." Those words would prove to be a turning point in Chuck's career, giving him the confidence to pursue acting seriously. Hollywood success and The Rifleman. Over the next few years, Chuck Connors immersed himself in Hollywood, taking on every acting role he could find. Between 1952 and 1958, he appeared in over 20 films, ranging from dramas to westerns to comedies. One of his most memorable roles was in Disney's Old Yeller, 1957, where he played the character of Ben Sanderson. The film was a massive hit and helped solidify Chuck's reputation as a talented and versatile actor. But it was his role as Lucas McCain in The Rifleman that would truly define his career. In 1958, the producers of The Rifleman saw Chuck's performance in Old Yeller and immediately thought he was perfect for the role of a rugged yet sensitive father in the Old West. Initially, Chuck was hesitant to take the role because the pay was lower than what he was earning from other acting jobs. However, the producers offered him more money and even a 5% ownership stake in the show, which convinced him to take the leap. Preparing for the role of Lucas McCain was no small feat. Chuck underwent extensive training to master the skills needed for his character, including horseback riding and learning to spin and shoot a rifle in a way that would captivate viewers. He worked with an expert gunman named Rod Redding, practicing the spinning motion that would become his trademark. Chuck's hands became sore and blistered from the intense practice, but he persevered, determined to perfect his craft. The Rise of the Rifleman, a television phenomenon. When The Rifleman first premiered on September 30th, 1958, the Western genre was already well established in American television, yet the show managed to stand out. Its gritty portrayal of a widowed father, Lucas McCain, raising his son alone in the rough and unforgiving Old West struck a chord with viewers, especially those in single-parent households who could relate to McCain's struggles and sacrifices. The father-son bond between Lucas and his son Mark, played by Johnny Crawford, became one of the central themes of the show, making it a unique blend of action and heart. Critics and audiences alike lauded Connors for his portrayal of McCain. His character was tough, yet compassionate, capable of wielding a rifle with skill, but also struggling with the responsibilities of raising a child in a hostile environment. One of the key elements that set The Rifleman apart from other shows at the time was the way it tackled complex moral issues, such as the difficulties of parenting in an unstable world, the choices men face in battle, and the emotional consequences of violence. The show's success was not just due to its action-packed sequences, but because of its emotional depth, which allowed it to resonate with a wide audience. Life after The Rifleman: breaking free from typecasting. When The Rifleman ended in 1963, Chuck Connors faced a significant challenge. Although the show had made him a household name, it had also pigeonholed him into the role of the quintessential Western hero. This typecasting created obstacles in his post-Rifleman career, as audiences and casting directors struggled to see Connors in anything other than the tough, morally upstanding rancher he had portrayed for 5 years. The actor was intent on proving that he could be more than just Lucas McCain. He turned down numerous offers to appear in additional westerns, rejecting 8 different TV pilots in just 2 years following the end of The Rifleman. While Connors hoped this would help him escape the shadow of his iconic character, it only slowed his career. The decision to distance himself from Western roles, while admirable, ultimately made it harder for him to secure new opportunities in an industry that was resistant to seeing him in anything but his familiar cowboy role. In 1964, Connors made a conscious effort to step away from his rugged image by taking on a very different role in the romantic comedy Move Over, Darling. Starring alongside Doris Day and James Garner, Connors played a stiff, formal banker, a far cry from his Wild West persona. Despite the role being a significant departure, it did little to alter the perception of Connors in Hollywood. Producers and casting directors continued to see him as the cowboy actor, even when he auditioned for roles outside the genre. Connors, disillusioned and frustrated, briefly considered quitting acting and returning to professional sports, where he had once been a successful baseball player. New roles and reinvention, Connors' later career. Despite the struggles, Chuck Connors found new avenues for his acting talent in television. One of his most notable post-Rifleman roles came in the legal drama Arrest and Trial, 1963 to 1964, where he played John Egan, a defense attorney. The show, which split each 90-minute episode into 2 parts, one focusing on the investigation and the other on the courtroom drama, allowed Connors to display a more intellectual, polished side of his acting. Critics praised his performance, but despite the acclaim, the series was canceled after just 1 season. However, it was Connors' role in the 1977 groundbreaking miniseries Roots that would redefine his career and showcase his range as an actor. Portraying Tom Moore, a cruel and oppressive plantation owner, Connors took on a role that was far removed from his past portrayals of virtuous, strong men. His chilling, unsettling performance was a stark contrast to his previous roles and demonstrated his ability to tackle difficult and controversial material. Roots became a cultural phenomenon, with the final episode watched by over 100 million viewers, and Connors earned an Emmy nomination for his work, a rare honor that demonstrated his continued versatility. The later years, a career of struggles, scandals, and redemption. In the later part of his career, Chuck Connors began appearing in a series of low-budget B-movies and TV guest spots. One of his more memorable performances came in the 1979 horror film Tourist Trap, where he played Mr. Sluicen, a creepy museum owner. The film, though initially unsuccessful, has since become a cult classic. Connors also appeared in the sci-fi film The Daytime Ended, 1980, and made appearances on popular TV shows like Fantasy Island, The Love Boat, and murder, she wrote. In 1987, he portrayed the villain Janko Skozani in the horror action series Werewolf, a performance that highlighted his ability to play darker, more sinister characters. Despite these varied roles, Connor's personal life was marked by a series of tumultuous relationships and scandals. His marriages, particularly his infidelities, and the rumors surrounding his behavior, became as much a part of his legacy as his acting. His first marriage to Elizabeth Jane Rendell, Betty, in 1948 was marred by infidelity, and their divorce in 1962 came after Betty discovered his affair with another actress. Connor's second marriage to actress Kamala Devi in 1963 ended in divorce in 1972 after 9 years, and his third marriage to Faith Quayles in 1977 was short-lived, lasting only 3 years before ending in allegations of abuse. Throughout his personal and professional struggles, Connors largely avoided addressing the rumors and controversies that surrounded him. Yet, the rumors never fully dissipated, and his reputation for unfaithfulness and reckless behavior continued to haunt him, both on and off the screen. Chuck Connors and the Vietnam War: a divisive stance. One of the most notable aspects of Chuck Connors' public life was his strong stance on the Vietnam War. In 1967, when many in Hollywood were vocal in their opposition to the conflict, Connors stood firm in his support for U.S. involvement. While the anti-Vietnam sentiment was pervasive among his colleagues, Connors participated in a pro-war parade in New York City, a public demonstration of his beliefs. His participation garnered praise from supporters of the war, but it also invited sharp criticism from those who opposed the U.S. military's actions. In an era when dissent against the war was widespread, Connors' decision to align himself with the pro-war movement made him a polarizing figure in Hollywood. Connors was not content with merely expressing his views. He actively worked to support them. He became a vocal advocate for Republican candidates, particularly Barry Goldwater during the 1964 presidential election. While his political activism may have cost him some career opportunities, Connors never wavered from his principles. In fact, he famously remarked, "I'd rather lose a job than give up my principles." This quote spoke to his unwavering conviction and his readiness to face any professional setbacks that might arise from his beliefs. Advocacy for U.S. veterans: a personal commitment. One of the most poignant aspects of Connors' political journey was his deep empathy for U.S. soldiers and veterans. Connors' commitment to supporting American troops was not just political posturing, it was a personal mission. He made multiple trips to Vietnam between 1968 and 1972 to show support for the soldiers serving there. Connors believed strongly in the righteousness of the U.S. mission in Vietnam, stating, "We're fighting communism over there, so we don't have to fight it here." But his support for the soldiers didn't end with his public statements or his visits to Vietnam. After the war ended, Connors became a vocal critic of how the U.S. treated its veterans upon their return home. He was deeply saddened by the lack of respect and recognition given to those who had served. Connors famously stated that veterans deserved parades, not protests, and that the country had failed them. His words resonated with many who felt the same way about the mistreatment of the men and women who had fought in the war. The Rifleman and the Soviet Union: an unexpected international connection. While Chuck Connors' political views were often a source of contention in the United States, he found an unexpected and fascinating audience in the Soviet Union. During the height of the Cold War in the 1960s and 1970s, when tensions between the U.S. and the USSR were at their peak, Connors' most famous role, Lucas McCain in The Rifleman, became a cultural phenomenon in Soviet Russia. Soviet citizens had a particular fondness for the Rifleman, drawn to the character of McCain, who represented strength, justice, and the moral virtues of a strong father figure. It was a rare American television show to be broadcast in the Soviet Union, as most Western programming was banned due to ideological differences. But The Rifleman was different. It resonated with Soviet audiences, particularly because of the character's strong moral compass and sense of duty. By 1973, the show had captivated an estimated 250 million Soviet viewers. Even Soviet Premier Leonid Brezhnev was a fan, and when he visited Washington, D.C. in 1973, he requested a meeting with Chuck Connors. This led to an extraordinary moment in Connors' life, a trip to Moscow, where he was treated like royalty. The meeting with Brezhnev at the Kremlin was a historic occasion, with the two men even engaging in a playful shooting contest with the gift of guns that Connors had brought. During his visit, Connors also attended a special screening of The Rifleman, where Soviet fans clamored for his autograph and expressed their admiration for his character. A final appearance, The Gambler returns. In 1991, nearly a year before his death, Chuck Connors made one final appearance in his iconic role as Lucas McCain. On November 3, 1991, Connors appeared in a TV movie called The Gambler Returns, The Luck of the Draw, which starred Kenny Rogers. The film featured Connors in a brief but memorable scene, reprising his role as McCain. Although the scene was short, lasting only about 90 seconds, it was a poignant moment for fans of The Rifleman. Wearing McCain's signature outfit and holding his famous Winchester rifle, Connors' appearance brought a wave of nostalgia for those who had followed the show. In the scene, McCain challenges the gambler to a shooting contest, a fitting nod to his character's skills and legacy. Even more special was the reunion between Connors and Johnny Crawford, who played McCain's son Mark on The Rifleman. Their brief but touching scene together thrilled longtime fans, reminding them of the father-son bond that had been central to the show's appeal. The movie received high ratings and was a perfect way to say goodbye to the role that had defined Connors' career. A legacy cut short. Illness and death. Tragically, Chuck Connors' life was cut short by lung cancer. In 1992, at the age of 71, doctors discovered the cancer, which was likely the result of Connors' long-standing smoking habit. Connors had been a heavy smoker, consuming up to 3 packs of cigarettes a day, a lifestyle choice that ultimately took its toll on his health. Fans were shocked by the news, as Connors had always been seen as a robust and energetic figure, both on and off the screen. Connors initially kept his diagnosis private and continued to make public appearances, but by October 1992, his condition had worsened significantly. He was hospitalized at Cedars-Sinai Medical Center in Los Angeles, where he battled both pneumonia and the effects of lung cancer. Despite the efforts of his doctors, Connors passed away on November 10, 1992. His death was a somber moment for his fans, colleagues, and family, marking the end of an era for a man who had made a lasting impact both in Hollywood and beyond. The enduring legacy of Chuck Connors. Chuck Connors' legacy extends far beyond his portrayal of Lucas McCain. His role in The Rifleman left an indelible mark on television history, influencing how single fathers were depicted on screen and inspiring generations of Westerns. Connors also made his mark in the world of sports, being one of only 13 individuals to have played both Major League Baseball, MLB, and the National Basketball Association, NBA. In 1946, while playing for the Boston Celtics, he made history by becoming the first player ever to break a backboard during a game. His contributions to sports were not limited to his playing career. In 1966, Connors played a pivotal role in resolving a contract dispute between Los Angeles Dodgers pitchers Sandy Koufax and Don Drysdale, a moment that helped shift the balance of power in favor of professional athletes during that era. Though his career was multifaceted, It was the rifleman that cemented Connors as a beloved figure in American popular culture. His strength, moral integrity, and commitment to his principles made him a character that resonated with viewers across the globe, and his impact continues to be felt to this day.